G'day guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel, and in this video we'll be learning how to find the area of squares and rectangles and also convert between metric areas. So by the end of the lesson we should all know the metric units of area, be able to convert between the metric units of area, and also be able to find the area of squares and rectangles. Alright, so let's start by going through the different metric units of area. So the first one we have is 1 square millimeter. So it's literally just 1 millimeter in the shape of a square, so 1 millimeter on each side. So when it asks you what the area is in millimeters squared, it's literally asking you how many of these square millimeters are in that shape. Same with the next one, 1 square centimeter. So we have 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter, so it is just 1 centimeter in the shape of a square. Keep going, next one is 1 square meter and then 1 square kilometer. And then we have 1 hectare. This just means 10,000 meters squared. So just keep that one in mind. Alright, so one key technique that we'll all need to take away from this lesson is the ability to convert between these metric units of area. So we have kilometers squared, meters squared, centimeters squared, and millimeters squared. So this is going to be exactly the same flowchart as Mr. Daffy's, but we're just going to add the squares on top now. So if you want to get from kilometer squared to meter squared, you need to not multiply it by 1000 like we did for length, but we'll need to multiply by 1000 squared this time. Meter squared to centimeter squared, we multiply by 100 for length, but it will be 100 squared for area. Same thing here, and we'll just do the opposite way when we're going the other way. And divide it by 1000 squared. Alright, so when we're multiplying, when we're going from centimeter squared to millimeter squared, we'll be multiplying by 10 squared. So that means it's 10 times 10. So we'll be multiplying that number. What is going on? We're multiplying that number by 100. Next one we have 100 squared. That'll be 100 times 100. So that equals 10,000. And then we have 1000 squared. If you're converting somewhere here, I've got a 0 here. If you're converting over there or that way, that will be 1000 times 1000. That gives us 1 million. Alright, so just pause the video and take a minute to write these down. Alright, moving on. This first question is pretty straightforward, so I'll make this one quick. So in this question, we're going to work out the area by counting the number of squares to find the area of the shape drawn on this centimeter grid. So each square is 1 square centimeter, so we're literally just going to count how many square centimeters are in this shape. So I can see 1 here, 2 here, 3 here, 4 here, 5 here, and these two combined will give us our 6. So the shape will be 6 centimeters squared. Always write the units in its correct form. That is very important. Alright, so counting squares is sick and all, but it gets the job done, tells us how much square centimeters or square millimeters, whatever the units, is in a shape. But if we get a shape like this, we don't want to be spending our days counting the squares. If that's your thing, you can go for it, but I prefer not to. So we have a formula to do that. And how we do it is length times width. So that means the length that way, multiply that here. Alright, so just to prove this, let's count these squares. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So our square shape would be 8 centimeters squared. But we can also use this formula. That will be 4 and 2. So it will just be 4 times 2, which equals 8. So we had to count much less in that method here. Same with the square. We can use length times width, or we just square one of these sides here. Square the length or the width, whatever you want to call it. And that will give us the same thing. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we know it is 9 centimeters squared. Or we can do 3, because it is 3 that way. Sorry about the wonky line. And 3 that way. So it is 3 times 3, which also shows that it is 9 centimeters squared. Alright, so let's move on to these questions using that formula. Once again, length times width. And just remember, it is in millimeters this time, so answer will be in millimeters squared. Alright, to give that a go, length times width, 10 times 4, that gives us an area of 40 millimeters squared. Now this one here, we'll just square 2.5, so it'll be 2.5 times 2.5. Alright, so let's work that one out. That gives us 2.5 times 2.5. We learned how to calculate multiply decimals last topic. Just work that through. 5 times 2 is 10. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. That gives us 5, 2, 6. We have two values behind the decimal point, so we need to move up 2 spaces, and that gives us a final value of 6.25. And just check the units, that is centimeters, so our final answer will be in centimeters squared. Alright, let's move on. Alright, just pause the video here and take a couple of minutes to work through these questions, and just unpause when you're ready to go through them with me. Alright, so the formula for that, once again, where'd she go? There she is. Length times width, that gives us 8 times 3. So our final area will be 24 centimeters squared. And this one here, just square 1.5, so that will be 1.5 times 1.5, that gives us 25. Carry the 2, 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7, cross that out. 5 times 1 is 5, 1 times 1 is 1, add them together, 7 plus 5 is 12, 2, and there's 2 spots behind the decimal point, so it will be 2.25 kilometers squared. Give yourself a tick if you got those two correct. Alright, so now we're going to convert between the following units, so we're going to use that flow chart we created earlier just up here. Yep, we're going to use this, so just flip back to that while we're doing these questions. Alright, so 5 centimeters squared to millimeters squared. We're going to need to convert between the two. We're going to need to multiply by 10 squared or multiply by 100. They're the same thing. So 5 times 100 gives us 500 millimeters squared. Alright, so this time we're going from meters to centimeters. So this time we're going to need to multiply by 100 squared or value of 10,000. So I'm just going to quickly use my calculator for these. So 100.007 times 10,000, that will give us a value of 70 centimeters squared. Alright, so using that flowchart, just pause the video here and have a go at these couple of questions. Alright, so let's convert from kilometers squared to meters squared this time. And if you're looking at that chart, you'll know that you'll have to multiply 1000 squared for this. So 3, to get to that, we'll need 3 times 1000 squared. And I'll just pop that into the calculator here. That will give us a value of 3 million. And this last one, 450,000 to kilometers, 450,000 millimeters squared to kilometers squared, sorry, that we'll need to divide by 1000 squared. Or that was 1 million like we did before. So I'm just going to put that into the calculator again really quick. That will give us a value of 0.45 kilometers squared. Just give yourself a tick if you got those two correct as well. Alright, so that brings us to the end of this lesson. Hopefully by now you guys have ticked off all the success criteria. You guys know the metric units of area. You guys can convert between the metric areas, and you can find the area of squares and rectangles. Alright, thank you for watching, and see you next time.
Boom. plus 2 is 4. -1, that's 3, quick maths.